Packers Nation. This offseason is about to get real. What's up, everybody? Victor here, and welcome back to Packers Nation Report. And today, we're talking about tough decisions, cap space, and the kind of moves that completely reshape a roster. Because right now, the Packers are sitting more than $10.6 million over the salary cap, and that means nobody is 100% safe. And yes, that includes some big names. There is now real discussion inside the league about the possibility of the Packers moving on from their starting running back. A player who just rushed for 929 yards, scored 13 total touchdowns, and averaged 4.0 yards per carry last season. But here's the problem. His contract jumps to $10.2 million this year and $12.2 million in 2027. And his cap hits skyrocket to $14.60 and $16.6 million. In a year where Green Bay desperately needs flexibility, that number becomes a serious obstacle. And according to cap experts, the Packers could save up to $11.4 million by making a move. That's not pocket change. That's starter-level money at multiple positions. But that's just the beginning. After that brutal playoff collapse against Chicago, blowing a 15-point lead and giving up 25 fourth-quarter points, the front office is clearly preparing for major changes. Reports now suggest that multiple starters are very unlikely to return in 2026, including key pieces along the offensive line and even at quarterback. We're talking about players with massive cap hits, declining performance, and younger, cheaper replacements already waiting in the wings. And when you look at the numbers, $20 million in potential savings here, $8 million there, you start to see how dramatic this offseason could become. So today, we're breaking it all down. Who could realistically be cut or traded? How much cap space the Packers can actually create, and whether these tough decisions can finally push Green Bay over the hump in 2026. But before we dive in, only real Packers fans should do this. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you truly believe the Packers are about to take a big step forward in 2026. Let's push this community to 1,500 subscribers and keep Packers Nation growing strong. All right, let's get into it. We've got some huge offseason news that could completely shake up the future of this team. We're talking about Josh Jacobs potentially playing his last game in a Packers uniform. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. One of our biggest offensive weapons, a guy who scored 13 touchdowns last season, could be on the move because of salary cap issues. And trust me, this situation is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. So, if you're a diehard Packers fan who wants real analysis, real opinions, and honest discussion, you're in the right place. Now, let's break this down. Why Josh Jacobs is suddenly a big question mark. The Packers are heading into the offseason in a tight salary cap situation. According to Over the Cap, Green Bay is currently sitting at over $10.6 million over the cap. That means moves are coming. Big ones. And when teams get squeezed financially, nobody is truly safe. That includes Josh Jacobs. Now, Jacobs just came off a solid season. 929 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 4.0 yards per carry. That's production. That's reliability. That's a back who helped stabilize this offense, especially near the goal line. But here's where things get tricky. The contract problem, Josh Jacobs signed a 4-year, $48 million contract. And while it looked great at the time, the structure of that deal was always going to cause problems down the road. According to ESPN's Rob Demovsky, Jacobs' base salary is set to explode. $10.2 million in 2026, $12.2 million in 2027, and his cap hits jump to $14.6 million in 2026, $16.6 million in 2027. That's massive money for a running back. Especially in today's NFL, where teams are realizing that you can often get 80 to 90% of the production for a fraction of the cost. This is exactly why Demovsky says the contract was always going to be reworked or ended after 2 seasons. And now, that moment has arrived. The financial incentive to move on, according to SpotTrack, if the Packers cut or trade Jacobs before June 1st, they save $8.2 million. If they wait until after June 1st, they save $11.4 million. That is real money. That money could strengthen the offensive line, add a legit linebacker, upgrade the secondary, bring in pass rush help. And let's be honest, this roster still needs work if we want to chase a Super Bowl. But here's the big risk. Here's where things get complicated. The Packers do not own their first-round pick in 2026 because of the Micah Parsons trade. That means drafting a premium RB replacement becomes much harder. Free agency becomes expensive. The margin for error gets smaller. So if you cut Jacobs, you better be 100% confident that Matt LaFleur and this offensive system can turn another back into a stud. And to be fair, history says they probably can. Why Green Bay might feel confident? Moving on. Let's look at the formula. Jordan Love at quarterback. Matt LaFleur's offensive system, strong offensive line foundation. This offense has shown that it can make running backs productive. We've seen it with Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon in stretches, and now Josh Jacobs. This system creates running lanes, it creates spacing, it creates scoring opportunities. So, from a front office perspective, the thinking might be, why pay $14 to $16 million per year for a running back when we can draft or sign someone for far less and still get strong production? From a cold business standpoint, it makes sense. The emotional side and why fans are divided, but from a fan perspective, this is tough. Jacobs brought toughness, physicality, goal line dominance, leadership. Those 13 touchdowns mattered. Those short yardage conversions mattered. His presence helped balance this offense, and moving on feels risky, especially when Jordan Love is still ascending and the offense is finding its full identity. This feels eerily similar to the Aaron Jones situation, and we all remember how emotional and controversial that was. My honest take as a Packers fan, if I'm being completely honest, I hate the idea of losing Josh Jacobs. But if the front office truly believes they can replace 80% of his production at 30% of the cost, then financially, it might be the smarter move. This team still has real Super Bowl potential, but only if Gutekunst can maximize every dollar of cap space. And that's what this decision ultimately comes down to. Heart versus logic, production versus financial flexibility. What do you think, Packers Nation? Now, I want to hear from you. Do you want the Packers to keep Josh Jacobs and restructure his deal? Move on and save cap space for other upgrades? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all, and this fanbase always brings amazing takes. We're still trying to process one of the most painful playoff losses in franchise history, a 15-point lead, 15 minutes left, and somehow we gave up 25 points in the fourth quarter and watched our season end in a brutal 31-27 loss to the Chicago Bears. That one is going to hurt for a long time. But now, reality hits. The offseason is here and major changes are coming. Today, we're talking about 3 Packers starters who almost certainly will not be back in 2026. And trust me, some of these names are gonna surprise you. So if you're ready for real talk, deep analysis, and honest fan perspective, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Packers Nation Report to help us reach our massive goal of 1,500 subscribers. Your support means everything, and it helps this channel grow every single day. All right, let's get into it. The context, why change is coming. That loss to Chicago wasn't just painful. It was exposing. It showed flaws in roster depth, offensive line consistency, overall balance, and now, combine that with the fact that the Packers are over $11 million above the projected salary cap, and you've got a recipe for some tough emotional decisions. This front office is going to have to cut veterans, reshuffle contracts, and move on from familiar faces. And that leads us to these 3 players. Elgin and Jenkins. Center, let's start with one of the toughest ones. Elgin Jenkins. Once one of the best guards in football, 2-time Pro Bowler, a leader in the locker room, but unfortunately, the writing is on the wall. The moment the Packers signed Aaron Banks to a big 4-year deal last offseason, Jenkins' days were numbered. Then came the move to center. And let's be honest, Packers Nation, he never truly looked comfortable there. Before his broken leg ended his season after just 9 games, his play was inconsistent. And when Sean Ryan stepped in, the offensive line actually stabilized. Now, look at the money. Jenkins is scheduled to carry a $24.8 million cap hit in 2026. That is INSANE, for a team already $11 million over the cap. If the Packers cut him, dead cap, $4.8 million cap savings, $20 million. That's massive. As painful as it is, from a business standpoint, this is a no-brainer cut. Rasheed Walker at left tackle. Now let's talk about Rasheed Walker. He gave effort. He competed, but the production simply wasn't there. Walker posted a 65.6 PFF grade, ranking 50th out of 90 eligible tackles. That's below average. Now, yes, he only cost $3.4 million in 2025, which made him a solid value. But here's the problem. Spotrac projects his market value at 4 years, $81.5 million. There is no chance the Packers are paying that. This is exactly why Green Bay drafted Jordan Morgan in the first round. Now it's time. Time for Jordan Morgan to step up, take over, and become the franchise left tackle we drafted him to be. Walker priced himself out of Green Bay. Simple as that. Malik Willis, backup QB, this one hurts. And honestly, it's bittersweet. Malik Willis was fantastic when Jordan Love was injured. In just 4 appearances, 30 of 35 passing, 85.7% completion, 422 yards, 3 passing TDs, 0 interceptions, 145.5. Passer rating, plus 123 rushing yards, and 2 TDs. That is elite level production. And that's exactly why he won't be back. Willis has earned himself a chance to compete for a starting job somewhere. And Green Bay simply cannot offer that with Jordan Love firmly entrenched as QB1. This is a great problem to have, but it also means we need a new backup quarterback. What this all means for the Packers this offseason is shaping up to be one of the most important in recent franchise history. Between cap problems, major roster holes, and playoff disappointment, Brian Gutekunst has zero margin for error. Every move must improve flexibility, boost competitiveness. Protect Jordan Love, the goal is clear. Build a roster that doesn't collapse in big moments. Packers Nation, I want your take now. I want to hear from you. Which of these moves do you agree with the most? Cutting Elgton Jenkins, letting Rasheed Walker walk, losing Malik Willis? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate, let's analyze, let's build this community together. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Packers Nation Report so we can reach 1,500 subscribers. We're growing fast, and I appreciate every single one of you. This is Victor, and as always, go Pack Go!